Hello, and welcome to the Unstuck Club, which we haven't done in ages. I've missed you, Di.
I've missed you too. I mean, I know we catch up on WhatsApp, but yes, it feels like a very long time since we've done the podcast for various reasons, which we'll chat about. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm very glad to be back in the seat, I must say.
me too. I think it gave us a nice opportunity to miss it and know how much we're enjoying Unstuck Club.
Yeah,
So we know it's not going anywhere.
yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, there was a little break through
Yeah,
circumstances. That's all.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Circumstances that we both get to share a bit. I want to start off by checking in with you and saying, how are you? Because you have
Yeah,
had
so
fun.
yeah, so 3 weeks ago yesterday, I had a total knee replacement of my right knee. And I mean, it wasn't in the plan for this time. I went to see him about like the way forward for the future. I didn't quite think he'd go, okay, right, how does the 24th of July sound? And this was at the end of June. So yeah, I mean, the first 2 weeks were really hard. And I've really learned, or I have a better understanding of how easy it is to get stuck in a negative spiral when you're in pain. And what's interesting is how we try and force the body's healing. You know, after my gait accident in 2017, I really began to get that healing is not linear. The body has its own way of healing. But I think because of the way we live life these days, it's a huge inconvenience for us. I mean, I can't drive for 6 weeks. And I understand why, because I'm having to very slowly build up the strength in my knee.
Yeah.
And, I've got people, I've had people say to me, oh, there's no ways I won't drive for 6 weeks. Well, it's actually dangerous. If I'm in an emergency situation and I don't have the strength, the instant reaction to slam on brakes, it's not worth it. But you really have to exercise patience. And the first 2 weeks, I really did get stuck in feeling very sorry for myself, being very miserable. The pain was a lot worse than I anticipated. And I kind of thought, I'm going to bounce back from this 2 weeks and, I'm going to be up and about. And I really had to surrender. And also, I had to ask for help, which is really hard for me to do.
Yeah, yeah.
But the young man Bandili, who's been staying with me, has been amazing. He drives me when I need to go out. He's taken care of the animals' routines and has done the cooking and that. But it's not easy to be reliant on other people.
That's so true. It really is. Well, I want to stay on that because I also turned some stuff around, and it took a long time, which we'll chat about, because I was reliant, right? But it's a different kind of reliance. That's what I actually want to talk about. Yours is a necessary reliance, like yours is a reliance because you're in a position that there are certain things that you cannot physically do, right?
Yeah.
Did you settle quickly into the fact that you just needed to be so reliant, or did you struggle on this, I can't do this on my own?
I think in the beginning, because there was so much pain, I was really happy to, just let him do it, let people bring me things and that. But as the days wore on, I found myself getting frustrated, that I had to, simple little things like just moving my dog's bed from the lounge to the bedroom. I'm still on crutches and I couldn't do that. And yeah, I really went through quite a dark phase of just feeling useless and worthless. And There were obviously there's certain aspects of my work that I couldn't do. I can't do hands-on Reiki at the moment because I can't stand for long periods. And I didn't have energy for anything. I slept so much. And I think it is so easy to slide into that dark hole until the one night, I think it was in the second week, and I was like, the only one who's going to pull me out of this is me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can continue to be weepy, and I couldn't even do voice notes, because if I did a voice note to you, I know I would have started bawling. And I just thought, Di, what do you teach people? Like, you are 100% responsible for your attitude. And I always say, like, not even God can change your attitude.
Yeah.
God can bring situations to make you change your attitude, but even he can't change it. He, her, she, whatever you believe in. And I hadn't journaled. I hadn't journaled. I hadn't listened to music. I hadn't meditated in those 2 weeks. And I got my journal out, and I started reminding myself of what I actually am. And in that time, I received an email that someone had written. She was doing these story prompts. It's a little August challenge. And I signed up for it. And I started, and the prompts were things like, look back over your life and, what have you achieved? And that was a really lovely way of pulling myself out, because I was like, my goodness, look at my life. Look at what I've done. Why am I feeling so sorry for myself? It's 6 weeks. In fact, I'm pretty sure at the end of next week, I'm going to be a lot stronger. Every day I feel the strength coming back. There's still a lot of pain, but it was this Tuesday night, and it's almost like, I don't know if you've ever had it, where you almost step out of yourself and you look back at yourself and you go, what the F are you doing?
Yep, absolutely.
And that's where I got to. And it's like, you've got all the tools to pull yourself out of this. And then the next day I went to our monthly meeting, Collaborate for Women Entrepreneurs. I wasn't going to go. I'd already alerted the team and said, look, I don't think I'm going to go. I don't have the energy. And then I thought, no, just go. Put on some makeup, put on a nice dress, put on some jewelry. And it was the best thing I could have done.
Good.
And it really reminded me of what I learned in March, is don't isolate yourself when you're feeling down. Reach out. And I think that's the other hard thing that we struggle with, is asking for help. That's where we get stuck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're, so many times you and I, when we talk, we say, oh, we're going through the same thing, right? We talk about it so often. So what's been interesting with me is that I had my beautiful experience of being in the Netherlands for a while. But the bigger thing was being in Croatia, and having this beautiful opportunity to have a dream trip on the boat in Croatia. And what was so amazing is that my business partner, who is my bestie for so many years, who knows me so very well, we get to see each other like every second year. And we're always talking, right? Online, we're always talking, but we just had a different kind of moment where we were sitting together. It was after breakfast. Everyone was doing their things. It's impossible not to get into all of the emotion of everything when you actually like physically surrounded by sea, right? There is so much water that you are around. And it's also very, very, very salty water, which was quite surprising actually to me. And we had a moment, and in that moment, he said to me, you are not on your own. Like, why do you try and figure everything out on your own? Like, I am here, you are never on your own. And it's so funny because we were just sitting having this beautiful chilled conversation. Next minute he took my hand and he said to me, what happens if you just say, I don't know what I'm doing? What happens if you just say, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to fix it. I don't know where I'm going. And I started to cry, and we could see all the friends didn't kind of know what was going on. And I cried about that conversation that we had, right? And then at the same time, eventually you went through the op, and then you got to the point, and you were bravely updating me and saying to me, you were in this space where you were like, I really don't have the capacity to get into that space.
Okay.
And there must be so many people like me. There must be so many people like me who I'm not feeling 100% well, so I literally got out of bed to get ready for this, which is a big thing. But my journaling is all, how do I figure it out? What do I have to do? What are it's very, very I central, right? And then I spoke to a friend now just before we came on. She was like, why don't you just go and lie under the tree and not figure it out for yourself? And then, like, there are a lot of people who don't have the capacity, and I'm saying that I can feel that it's not right and it's not helpful, and that as long as I stay in this space, there is going to be a level of stuckness. There is going to be a level of stuckness, because one of the things that I watched that shifted you were the complete, I don't know when last I was in such a terrible space. This is awful. It's dark and it's and it's awful, and leaning into Bandile and leaning into conversations, brave conversations. So I'm empathizing with a whole lot of people who struggle to do it, because I really struggle to do it.
And it's not an easy thing to do. I think first of all, it's being so vulnerable. And a lot of people do equate vulnerability, with weakness, or else that you're opening yourself to criticism and judgment. So it's, anybody who really struggles with it, it's nothing to be ashamed of. I think we all, it's what fascinates me is, even with nearly 25, 26 years of doing this work, that I can still get into that space without even realizing it. I was just suddenly like so emotional. And one thing we've always said since we started Unstuck is you have to feel to heal. So I did allow myself to stay there, but then it became that it was like that I was stuck there. And then there was just that one night, and I was like, no, I can't stay like this. Because I'll just be an absolute wreck by, the third week. Yeah. And you know what? It's those little things. It's a simple thing like getting into the shower. And I know that some of my clients who suffer from depression, just the basic act of cleaning yourself, they struggle to even do that. So, you can maybe go one day, like just after the op, and then I couldn't get the dressing wet. So the leg was in a plastic bag. When I showered, I got a shower chair. It took a huge amount of energy. So I was showering every second day and just doing a wash in between. It's very easy for that to become 2 days, and then 3 days, and then 4 days. It never did. But I know with some of my clients, that's what happens. And you begin to feel like really you don't care about yourself. You don't care about your surroundings. So it is those little simple routines, going for a walk. Yes, lying under a tree. When you don't have the capacity to go, okay, I'm going to go and figure this out, or I'm going to go and do a process, like, turn to nature, turn to things that nurture you, a a bubble bath, a shower, just that sense of hot water cascading over you. It's all these little simple things, and we drop those when we get into those spaces.
I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot
God, okay.
because I am the opposite to that.
Okay.
I need to have a day where I don't shower. I need to have a day where I don't get up and
Hmm.
put on the wall paint. I need to have a day where I read a book, not to, even when I read a novel, looking at their sentence structure because I'm thinking about my incomplete novel and what I haven't done. What about the person who is the person like me who needs to just actually freaking well not get up one day and not take the shower? And like, if you had to say to me, because it is so interesting, because that is what that's what my friend was saying to me earlier. Like, she was saying, do the nothing because you
Hmm.
never, ever, ever don't do the nothing.
Hmm.
Do you remember that beautiful movie, The Holiday? Remember that beautiful movie, The
I
Holiday?
know of it. I haven't seen it.
Oh, when I'm visiting you, it's going to have to be popcorn and The Holiday. It's such a beautiful movie. And there's a scene in the movie where she goes, cry, cry. And she's like trying to force,
Yeah.
she's trying
Yeah.
to force herself to cry. She's like trying to force herself to
Hmm.
cry. There, to actually do, to watch you and say that you can get into the space of doing nothing, getting to that kind of,
Hmm.
this is a big vulnerable thing for me to absolutely
Hmm.
say. And obviously for Greg to take my hand and say to me, what happens if you just say, you
Yeah.
don't, like, where to from here? I don't know what to do from here. And what do you say to someone like me?
I would say you have to do nothing. I think it's really important. I mean, I have every weekend, there's at least one day where I will maybe lie in bed until midday, where I don't shower. I'm not going anywhere. There's like it's like the sloth part of me that just needs to veg. And I think that is really important. And it always fascinates me with people. Like I've got a friend they've got 2 kids, busy family. The number of times she complains because like they'll have a weekend where there's like no children's sports, but it's filled with socializing with their friends. And she's like all I want is a day at home. And I go, well, say no. Say no to the invites. You know, you see your friends so often in the month. Is it really going to matter if you turn down one invitation and go, I just need to be at home? So no,
Mm.
you absolutely have to do that. I'm talking about when as I say, when it becomes like tomorrow and then the next day and the next day, and then it slips into something else. You stop caring about yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's so
I hear
it's but you yes, it's almost like playing hooky. I mean, what I've loved about the last 3 weeks is I don't have to get up in the morning. You know, I have the last few mornings I've got up to let the dogs out because I've been awake. But in those first 2 weeks, I could just let go of all the responsibility and focus on my healing. And I mean, the exercises were killers. It's not pleasant, but I know it's important to do them. But I love the fact that when Bandili had gone off to work, I could literally put my phone on airplane mode and go back to sleep. And I was surprised at how much sleep I
you need.
needed. And you feel guilty. Like, I mean, I had a nap before we came on here because I was like really feeling tired. And I just realized like the body knows what it needs. And if the body needs a day of doing nothing and not figuring anything out, then absolutely go with that. I think the thing with what you're talking about and what the advice that Greg gave you, I think it scares people when they go, I have to admit, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's next. It's a scary place to be in.
Yeah.
So I think that comes into it as well. You're like, we always need to have plan B. And, you and I have been having this conversation around our collaboration.
Yeah.
And how are we going to make this work? And maybe it isn't for us to know the plan, that things will just fall into place. It doesn't stop us still working on it and talking about it. But I think we've reached a point. What was that beautiful thing you said the other day? I hold space for the unexpected
Yeah,
today.
I hold
I
space.
love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The unexpected. I'm actually writing that down as a reminder. Yeah, it is to hold space for the unexpected.
And I know you feel very passionately about, the whole self-help industry and intention and visualization and everything. But I think that sometimes puts too much pressure on us. So
Complete.
you've got your vision board, and I'm not knocking vision boards. If it works for you, absolutely. But you have this vision board with the trip or the watch or the house or the husband. It's like, oh my, like, I know I need to sit here and visualize this. I need to intend and I need to visualize. And I think it puts more pressure on us. And then when it doesn't happen, when you get to the end of the year and half of the things on your vision board have never come to fruition, then you feel less than. It's like, what's wrong with me? People are going, oh, you just change your frequency. I love it when they say, you just change your frequency, like align yourself with the frequency of abundance. How do you do that?
Exactly. Exactly.
Definitely have not got that figured out. And they go, oh, we've got the secret. It's just a little mind shift. Change your thoughts, and it doesn't happen like that. In fact, it's often when you're in that place of, I don't know, that it allows the unexpected. It allows the ideas to come in. But I think we've got into this like path of just visualizing, intention, manifestation, how to I'm seeing all these workshops, how to manifest with ease. And I know there's a lot of people listening to this who go, yeah, well, it doesn't work for me. And I just think we just are putting pressure on ourselves all the time, whether it's like with this, with my knee replacement, it's like it's going to take as long as it takes. And I literally have to take it a day at a time.
And for me, the question is, what can you show up for yourself and do, so that it's not always about, I think what's become of us, because I know I watch it when I actually said to Greg at one stage when we were in the conversation, what have you done to shift yourself to where you are? I was like, because I wanted to take his formula, right, and just put it on me. And that's what we're doing all the time. Like, I remember when I wrote my book, The Holistic Entrepreneur, there's a part in the book where I said in the book, I just wanted to read a self-help book and I wanted my name to be there. So it would say, Dear Jodene, this is exactly what you need to do. And it goes back to the very reason why I do what I do. And I do what I do because I want people and myself to understand that every single one of us is so unique. You cannot use somebody else's formula. And that's why this unexpected is such an important aspect of all of this. And that's why, because I have been thinking about that moment in that movie where she was like, you will feel better if you cry, because people say you will feel better when you cry. So force yourself to cry, right? It's the same thing. It's like, you will achieve what you want if you take these 5 steps. That takes all of the unexpected away, right?
Yeah.
Actually, and it's this duality with me, because it's showing up to you and showing up to Greg and all of those kind of things and saying, I don't know how to figure it out myself, because no man is an island, right? But at the same time, knowing that there is a part of me that has to figure out why I don't have the capacity to just be the way you are at the moment. And I know, because you're saying it so lovingly, but actually, if you felt my energy, I mean, you and I are so close, so I can say it. If you felt my energy when you were saying just take a day off, I actually just want to climb through the screen and shake you, because like, that is. I literally want to say that is such a ridiculous thing to say to the person who knows that if you were to say to me, do absolutely nothing tomorrow, maybe I need to try it, because I'll tell you that it's just going to spike my anxiety. It's going to be all over the place. I'm going to be uncomfortable. Then I'm going to be emotional. And we kind of got to get into the why.
Why does it trigger that?
And you kind of can only do it if you sit in it, right? You can't do it unless you sit in it. I want to give you a beautiful example. We, Greg and myself, have totally updated Lifeology's website. I'm so excited. It's completely updated. I created all the content for the website, and in my mind, Greg is the web guy, right? Greg's the web guy, and I'm the content girl, and he's the web guy. And he is on such a beautiful passion project for Lifeology. It's absolutely amazing, and he's really, really busy with the client in what he's doing. That I got myself to a point where I was like, what's the worst that can actually happen? Like, if he shows me the back end, what's the worst that can happen? It took me half a day to completely update that website by myself. I did it all. I didn't break anything. It wasn't that difficult. It wasn't that complicated. But I'm telling you, it sat dormant for about 8 months because I was waiting for him to do it, because I just, in my head, I was like, I'm not that person. I think that's it. I've just had the moment. We go, I'm not that person.
Exactly.
But I actually haven't given myself the opportunity to see if I am the person who can take tomorrow and do a nothing tomorrow that has anything to do, because I know it will happen. I'll want to blog about my experience of doing nothing.
So I want to ask you a question then. So this feeling uncomfortable when you like go, I'm going to do nothing, and you don't have to do a day. I mean, you could do an hour, ease into it. I'm not going to take a whole day, but I'm going to take 2 hours, and I'm going to read Mills and Boons or something, whatever. But do you think that it is either because of your archetypes, or is it from childhood, like, a parent going, you can't sit around and do nothing, that's just lazy, you should be doing something, the devil makes work for idle hands? Or is it a combination of both?
We need an extra hour. It is definitely the, like, don't catch me being lazy, because there is already this perception, and it's a perception that I always watch so closely and carefully, is that there is a perception, which is also a part of my reality, that I am the lofty, flighty, daydreamy one, So archetypically, I'm not. Archetypically, I am the pioneer when it comes to how I aspire, which is very strong. But that's why I can't switch off, because I'm the pioneer, right? There's always, there isn't an off button. But to take the off button and then to let the voices kind of ramble in would most probably get to the point of, this is why nothing becomes of you. This is why, because I feel like I always have to be on display that what I am doing will make me amount to something.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, there is an impression, and it's an important impression even for everyone who's listening, to understand about me, especially because I am in this space of evolution, of messaging out my content and telling a bigger story. And I'm in this real space of evolution, is that a big part of my story is that I chose to let go of all possessions that in any way put me under any kind of financial strain. So I got rid of my car. I move around in house sit. I've just secured a pet sit for December, and it is it goes against the grain to not be gathering possessions as you get older. Like, what are the things that you're going to rely on as you get older? It's you and I had such a beautiful conversation, Di, where like, don't say to me, who are you? You know, where I need to then funnel who I am, because I am a little bit of the teacher, I'm a little bit of the guide, I'm a little bit of the writer, you know, and it comes from numerology, astrology, tarot, metaphysics. I studied business, for goodness sake. I went to secretarial college. I'm a strategist. I'm a brilliant strategist. And to be such a hodgepodge of things when we are told, pick something, pick a topic, let someone define, let you be able to fit into a box, is also a big thing for me, and I think for a lot of more people. Taylor Swift, it happens, but because words pop into my head, but she, in one of her songs, it's so beautiful. Like, she says, tell me you're a poet trapped inside the body of a finance guy.
Yeah.
You know, because all of us are that in some kind of way. We are all a whole lot of different things. So to just let go and actually be a mushmash of things. And it's not just me. It must scare so many people who are trying to prove themselves to other people. We are constantly trying to prove ourselves to other people.
And I think that's a really good point, is we are not one thing. I mean, when I was journaling, and I have a photo of myself when I was about 4 years old. It's a school photo. I've got a little pudding basin hairstyle, and I'm looking very seriously at the camera. And I've written around it: sage, seeker, dreamer, explorer, and scribe. And I realized that I've lost connection with my explorer. I've lost connection with my dreamer. I don't give my scribe enough time. I'm all those things, but it's exactly that. You get very narrow-minded. You know, I'm this teacher, so I must show up like this, and I must behave like that. And we don't allow those aspects that feed us, you know, the dreamer, you know, those beautiful archetypes that expand us. Yeah. Whereas some of the archetypes, you know, when you talk about the analyst, it's like it feels constricted. The diplomat is like, oh, it must be this way, and you know, you must behave like that. I'm curious to know, when Greg said that to you and it made you cry, what was it that made you cry with him saying to you, what if you just admit that you don't know?
It feels like such an impossible task. Okay. It feels like such an impossible task to just, because he was saying, you know, like, I really am at a crossroads now. And I hear it. I actually had a friend of mine put a post up today, and she was saying, I've tried it. I've tried this form of marketing. I've tried this funnel, I've tried this, like, I've tried all these different array of things. And it feels like nothing's working, and I'm really, really frustrated with everything. But it's this whole getting into community and having to figure it out and say, I think I'm so used to, I don't know how I got to this point, and it's something that I want to explore, and that a lot of people have to explore. How did we get to the point that when someone says to you, you don't have to have it all figured out by yourself? It feels like such an impossible. I never show up to Greg and say, with my hands in the air. I show up with a problem and a potential solution. Okay. And I'm so proud of myself showing up with a problem and a potential solution. And he's saying, just show up with the problem and we'll figure out the solution ourselves. And that is what happened. I was like, okay. And I think it's because, and that is the inner child. That is the inner child, because I can hear it now. the inner child within us, that ego inner child is born within us when at some point in time we feel like we have to figure it out all ourselves. And then my inner child immediately goes, it's all fine now, but what happens when you're older? It's all fine now, but what happens at some point in time? It's going to have to be you. So never let go of it being you with you. And it's so funny because my travels have taught me that I'm never alone. And I'm going to give a beautiful example. I know we're running a bit over time, but it's such a beautiful example. I don't love traveling. I love my travel, but I still get really uncomfortable when I have to do new things by myself. It takes a lot of effort and energy. I'll do it, but it's exhausting. So it was to go to Amsterdam on the day of Pride, which was a massive event. There were thousands of people. So it's my headphones in, making sure I get on the right train, get off, and then walking beautifully to, I was going to go and watch it from someone very dear to me, her home. And when I got there, I could feel the exhaustion, right? Oh, that takes so much effort to do it. But then also so completely proud of myself, like, you can do it. And you'll do the next thing, and you'll do the next thing. And when it was time to go home, I had started to prepare myself in my head. You're going to have to walk through all these streets, navigate, blah, blah, blah. Such a sweet old gentleman was there. And he said to me, where are you going? And I said, Delft. And he said, he's going to Rotterdam. We're on the same train. Let's leave at the same time. And I didn't have to figure it out myself. Like, there was someone there. And when I got home and I sent a message to my friend Ed, I said to him, I could have done it on my own, but I actually didn't need to. And we try so hard, and I'm hearing myself say it. I could figure out all of these things that I need to, but I don't actually have to figure it out on my own. So actually, this has been so beautiful for me to hear myself go through all of this, which I know so many people have to do. It's good enough to know that you could figure it out on your own, but to get to understand why do you have to figure it out is a different story. And for me, the biggest thing is tomorrow, because I am going to take some time and I am going to do a post about it and let everyone know how it goes, to know that I don't need that time, right? I could keep on going. I don't need that time, but I actually don't know the other side of what that time could give me. And that's what I'm not giving the opportunity to.
Okay. I remember, and I don't remember whose interview it was. It was one of the podcasts I was listening to, and the guest was saying that boredom is actually a really good thing. And
Great.
I've really seen that. You know, there's been days when I just haven't had the energy to do anything. I've just literally just lay on the bed and look out the window. And there are times when, like, little ideas pop into your head and thoughts, because you're not focused on anything.
Yeah.
You're not even reading, because, you know, we struggle in the society we live in. I mean, you see it in queues. If anyone is in a queue, 99.9% of them will be on their phone.
Yes.
They will be scrolling. Nobody's engaging with anyone around them. They're on their phone. But he said, we need to be bored. We need times of boredom, because that's when the creativity sparks and can come through, because you're not distracting yourself. But we don't give it enough time. We'll sit for 10 minutes, go, okay, now I'm bored. Now I need to go do something, or play a game, or do something.
And it's not meditation. Time. It's not meditation. Yeah. It's not napping. It's not any of that stuff. It's pushing through.
Yeah.
Gosh, that would be uncomfortable.
I think it would be. I think for most people it would be uncomfortable. We're just not. We're no longer wired to spend time. I mean, when the shamans do training, with any like new initiates, they make them go and sit in the forest for hours and just look. And it's the same as when you go into Kruger. If you drive up to a waterhole, everything freezes. Whatever bird or animal is there freezes. So I've seen people drive up, they look around, and then they whiz off again because there's nothing there. If you sit there for long enough, you will see movement. You will see, all of a sudden, you notice buck, impala that weren't there before. You notice a bird, because now you've stopped long enough to be part of the environment. Things around you start moving. But they would make, that was the beginning of their training. Go into the forest. We'll come and fetch you when we think you've had enough. And they would 5-6 hours. They would just have to sit in the same place and observe. And I think there's very few people today who can actually do that for that length of time. The Vipassana, the 10-day silent retreats, you don't take any books, no journals, no pens. You meditate for like hours every day for 10 days. You speak to no one. And people say, the people who've done it say the first 3 or 4 days are hell. But if you can push through those and get into that place of silence and be with yourself, they say it's absolutely mind-blowing. But the mind in the beginning is just
really
it's on
fun.
overdrive. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying that.
Yeah, just slowly, just start slowly.
No,
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it resonates so much with me. Thank you, Dar, because it really has resonated so much. So there's some people who are going to beautifully resonate with you, and then there's other people who are going to beautifully resonate with me. And I love that about this particular podcast, is that it's so often we're in the same place, right? And sharing something, and we actually we're on these polar opposites. Still experiencing something, which I've loved this. I've absolutely loved this. Thanks, Dar.
So we're going to wait with interest to see how your experiment goes.
For sure. I'll keep you posted. And you just keep on healing and getting stronger.
I will. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
We will see you next time.